Playoff game against the Steelers. We heard about it all week long. They were reeling, losers of 3 straight. Tebow mania looked like it could be running out of steam. And then we heard the reports where the Denver coaches had installed a package of plays for backup Brady Quinn, perhaps as an in-game emergency plan should Tebow struggle. Well, Tim went out and played well, so we didn't have to worry about that. But the wreckage remains because, according to ESPN's Ed Werder, the coaching staff putting their finger on the panic button had him a bit annoyed. What's the long-term impact of this?
Okay, bottom line for me, after what transpired last week, I will not be surprised if Tim Tebow asks for a trade once this is over, no matter how it turns out, win, lose, or draw from here on, asks for a trade. And I will tell you this, I will encourage him from this chair to ask for a trade, maybe even to demand a trade, because what happened last week, that locker room turned into a snake pit for Tim Tebow. And I tweeted this before the game, but not only did the veteran players turn on him after Kyler Orton returned to Denver and won that game, but the coaching staff sold out on him quickly after he had gone on a 7-1 run, a 7-1 as we know, 5 fourth-quarter comebacks. They did win the division championship even though they backed into it. But what happened? They all turned on him very quickly after a bad quarter in Buffalo and a pathetic game against Kansas City. They were done with him. And number one, this just underscores what a phenomenal achievement it was to beat the number 1 ranked defense with that hanging over your head. You're 1 play away from Brady Quinn. And number 2, it just drives home the point, this organization will not be sold on Tim Tebow, no matter what he does. I don't believe they're sold on him now, even if they win in New England, even if they go to Baltimore and win. Let's just go to the ultimate. Even if they win the Super Bowl, I'm still not convinced that an organization that inherited Tim Tebow will ever quite trust him in this offense that they've been forced to run. They just don't buy it. And I don't blame them for not buying it, but something has to change, and I'm hoping against hope that Tebow winds up in Jacksonville.
Well, whenever we've addressed this question before, people have accused me of being a Tim Tebow hater because I didn't know about his long-term future. It had nothing to do with the way he was playing. It had everything to do with to get Tim Tebow and to make him the centerpiece on your team. You're signing up for a lot. It's not just changing the offense. I agree. You're signing up for the media spectacle. You're signing up for people questioning how you're running the offense, whether or not it's long-term success. And I think at this point, Denver is really doing themselves a disservice by not buying in. John Elway is asked every week about whether or not Tim Tebow's the long-term solution in Denver.
What did you say this week?
Well, he's still not sold.
Not sure.
Still not sold. He needs to either stop asking that or answering that question or come up with a better answer, because at this point, all he's doing is undermining the rest of his football team. If you're one of Tim Tebow's teammates and you see that the head guy in charge is still not sold, what reason do you have to believe? Remember what the narrative was before the Pittsburgh game? It was, afterwards. It was John Elway inspired Tim Tebow by saying, unleash, I guess to use your word. But I don't know, based off this new information about Brady Quinn, if that really was what triggered that. I would say Tim Tebow being as competitive as he is, you would be insulted at this point by the mere idea that they would bring Brady Quinn in completely cold after you've done all this.
I agree.
I mean, regardless of what you think about how he won, he has won.
Jamel, for perspective as to where they were, Tebow mania had peaked before the Patriots lost.
Right.
And then the next 3 games, even though he played pretty well in the Patriots game, some say his best game before Pittsburgh, the trend was moving down.
Moving down.
They had gone, I think, 22 straight drives without a touchdown.
But
so it's not out of the blue that they would ask that.
But in a way it is. Tim Tebow has given you more evidence to believe that he can get it together versus what has Brady Quinn ever showed us anything?
No, he has not.
Never.
No.
So you're going to go with somebody who has no track record of anything versus a guy that, even though he had struggled in those last few games, who's basically giving you a body of work that at this point you need to just suck it up and realize that this is who should be our starter for not only this season, but I think he's earned the right to be the starter at least all of next year.
Can I throw this out there, Skip? And I don't know that this was the intent when that report leaked, because there were people that were at practice said Brady Quinn ran 2 plays in practice on Friday, and he always runs 2 plays.
Jim Nantz and Phil Simms said on the telecast on CBS,
they saw him run 2 plays.
They saw the usual couple of plays from Brady Quinn, but there were rampant reports on Sunday morning. All the networks reported that there was a package in place. So I don't know what happened in the Wednesday, Thursday practices. Maybe not much, but there was a package in place for Brady Quinn to take over even on third down of the first series if they struggled.
Right.
You know, like
Well,
one play
the
away.
thing is that report got out there, but
Where did it come from?
Well, it had to come
It had to come from inside.
Yeah.
From the coaching
Okay,
staff.
exactly.
My ultimate question there is, and I'm not saying that this is their intent and that there was some previous thought going into it, but he responded with the best game of his career.
Because that's the type of character.
I'm not saying that. I'm just throwing it out there.
But I do think that was a source of motivation for Tim Tebow. Look, if you have, again, how could he not be insulted? Regardless of how you think he's won.
How could you not be outraged?
No, I
would
know.
be totally outraged.
Tim Tebow plays his best when
when it's back against the
when he's told you can't do something. And I'm not saying that it was premeditated, but let's look at juxtapose this with what's going on in New York. Everybody's saying there's nobody pushing the quarterback.
Yep.
The quarterback got lazy. He was complacent. In Denver, they whisper out there, we might take a look at Brady Quinn. Tebow responds how?
Yeah.
Best game as a pro.
Okay, the Jets quarterback responds best when little is expected of him in playoff games.
Right.
Going all the way up to the AFC
When does
Championship game.
When does Tebow play his best?
When there's ultimate pressure. Seriously.
And he got it.
Has any young quarterback who's done more, faced more pressure in a playoff game than this young quarterback faced against the
Can you think of one?
Well,
remember,
okay,
you're one play away from NFL death.
Pressure and